Actually, Jim Riley, Tom Serson, Joe Zillig, Harry Race, Bernard LaChance, DJ Day, Perlita Kunwan, Elton Anderson, Don Wiley, Jim Hall, Bill Duvall, 1961 Oyster Cracker Man, DJ Day, Perlita Kunwan, Valerie's and the Roble Knight there, Rapist Roble Knight in your faction, your regime, okay? This was already discussed before you guys killed me and, other people over this whole issue. For one, whether you're Jew, Christian, atheist, whatever, you guys have just basically, the very thing that you guys complain about, the people, the Arabs or the Israelis or whatever, the very thing you all complain about, the Middle East, you are and have become. That's never changed. Secondly, Bernard, you guys, like I said, want to use the Faustinian play against me to make me the Antichrist or my dad or whoever, the guy in New York or whatever. So you guys, can prop up Perlita and Dave and Joe and the cowboy, country and western Karen as the heroes, right? Or you, Bernard, the bitted bet for, want to play the Jehovah Witness elders or whatever. Basically, Bernard, you're a faggot, lying, conniving, murdering, rapist, thief. You always have been and always will be. You're Carney. Trying to play out to make yourself more important with your hicks and shit. And then you guys have your little setup after you guys stole me and the girls' stuff, and you guys run back and forth, and then your little harlots cover for them as they steal, and they can still do other stuff. It's not really hard to understand that it's David Balamorad, Steve Jones, and Doug King, and a few others, Bernard, that you're all working together. Wayne Williams, Jim Jones, the cult, the Tim McVeigh's, all that stuff. The same group of culty dipshits that it's always been, Bernard, that ruined it from while Joe sits there and hovers around pretending to be the all-white purity as you guys swap back and forth. That's why it's a mess. That's why Ellery's a mess. You guys got clones, all that. Right. Secondly, Bernard, while I was in Colorado and even out here, you've even got the trumpets that kind of warn you. They've done it for you guys, whether you hear it or not. They warned you guys. And then your Red Randys and your little clones running around, Bernard. The 61 Amphibious Base, man, all this shit, the comic book, all that crap you guys got going, the Roble Knights, all this stuff, the Whispering Faggot, all this stuff that you guys say you didn't do, but you guys really did, the McDonald's stuff, let's see, the bed bugs, all this stuff to avoid what you guys really did. Basically, you got their 7 horsemen there running around. See, Bernard, Dave, and you, and the bit of it, you guys want to be Satan. You basically want to be the Antichrist, and you are basically always running that story, Bernard. So I'm not going to sit there and argue with you about it. We just point out the idiots, whether it's real or not, and then, like I said, we just tell the military's already aware of this because they watch you guys' behavior. The police are, the firefighters are, anybody with common sense is red. So we just warn them so they can move around and don't have to deal with dumb fuckery, idiocy. That's part of the war. You want to fight the religious war there, Bernard, but then you guys are hypocrites about what happens overseas, and then you guys send your Westerners back over there and talk shit, and then you guys come back over here. Basically, Bernard, it belonged to the Russians and the Israelis and some of us first, and you men got jealous and you wanted to play sex and porn, and you guys got to do that, and now you're rich, and this is the game you play, Bernard. It's not really hard to figure out. But some people want to progress and evolve, and it just doesn't penetrate your turnip head there, Bernard, that you're a pedophile, a rapist, thief. I don't care if you want to sleep with Perlita and all that, go ahead. You want to marry her, go with her, Bernard. I don't give a shit. You want to marry one of your LGBT dykes and shit down there, go ahead, Bernard, but don't involve me, because don't associate me with that trash you got going on, the hand-me-down game and things. People, it's not my fault people are stupid. Bernard, you know why you're hearing all this sound and you're not, your group is getting so much shit and Harry and all that? It's because you're terrorists. And you ruined my life, those girls' life, Holly and Amanda's life. Joe just does whatever he wants. He says he's not religious, screws up Ann's life, screws up my mom's, the ones that work for it. Then you guys come into it, screw up those fathers' lives, those families' lives. Basically, Bernard, people get sick of it. And so the people who have common sense in the communities throughout the world get to hold your dumbasses hostage. And then you guys can sit there like your group originally did and marched off those people off the bridge or into the water, Bernard. They get to march your pieces of shit into the water. Right? You guys thought it was so funny that they're so stupid, supposedly, the firefighters and the doctors, the police and the military, we're just so stupid to work together. Bernard, people start to get wise that there's just a group of you who like to abuse and destroy people's children and their stuff. This is what evolution is. Even though, you know, most of you are grown adults, you still can't handle the fact that this stuff doesn't belong to you. So people reorganize, you know, they teach you guys a lesson what happens when you jacked it all up the first time, Bernard, and the second time, and for the carny the third time. When some of people remember, you know, Bernard, what really was happened and what was really going on until you guys decided to let Dave and them experiment and, you know, tear shit apart and, you know, swap shit around with Harry. But, you know, we're the cowards supposedly to Harry because, you know, he always had to have it right, you know, putting the TV shit in their heads and, you know, Elton's Black TV Nightmare and all this crap. See, so if you guys think you're the best at doing what you do, Bernard, and, you know, everybody's got to suffer by your hand, you know, like I said, I could just, you know, military and them, they don't have to feel bad. Super hottie chicks that work together, the Hiltons, the Bowmans, the Kennedys, those people who went through all this crap over people like you, Bernard, they don't have to feel bad. The most of the world in the city doesn't have to feel bad. None of the girls have to feel bad. It's just you controlling dictator men, and Perlita's denounced dictatorship over Spain or Mexico or Texas or wherever they move. The bitted fat, you know, Judy Shepard, all this stuff. You guys' heads swell up all big because of Ellery, but you look like shit because you want to follow Ellery, you know, who's clearly the wrong leader. But I also know you guys probably stuck him there so, you know, Robo Knight and, you know, Harry and all them could go running off, and, you know, Joe, you're trash, dude. You stole my shit. You fucked up people's bodies. You screw up their brains. You did it to your daughters. You guys get off on it. You steal their ideas. You hit cowboys. Do whatever you want. You guys think you can do whatever you want with the sports. Hump whoever you want. Dump them in the trash. That's your culture there, Bernard. Sorry, but, you know, Earth's been around for a while, and, you know, you guys had a chance to change and evolve. But anytime there's a new device, whether it's the dials or the computer system or the Googles, guess who's got to be there in the way? You know, the racists. And generally, what I said before, it's usually those who shouldn't have it who get it first. But, you know, some of us just get sick and tired of the fighting, Bernard. Some people have already got it all figured out already. But, you know, we have to listen to some faggot crazy piece of shit that took off a girl's head and then put his own head in there, and then says, oh, it's this person, that person, white purity, this, blah, 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 blah. You know what? It just basically comes down to, Bernard, is that the group of you, I mean, you're so stuck, it's obvious who it is. So you know what? If you guys think you're so badass about running the earth and the cosmos, give you the power and then watch you fail. And then the rest of the people who actually worked together and got it right get to sit there and point and laugh at you, Bernard, over and over and over and over again, and get to confirm the stories of britches and all this stuff that you guys went around doing thinking you could just get away with it. But really it started to backfire. That's what happens to an empire there, Bernard. If you don't want to pay attention to history, just like one of my uncles said, it's going to hit you in the ass. It's not my problem you guys decide to section people out just because you guys are bored. Okay, Bernard? That's your issue. That's the knowledge and wisdom that you're gonna fucking lose. Because you want to be a crybaby carny with a messed up, like, lying story because you want to protect Victor and Aaron or over me. So you got to use that to your advantage and then screw up two other more cities instead of just tell people the truth about what really happened. So if you want to protect your little pedophile, murderer, rapist, Bernard, that's what you can do. But, you know, it's not going to be any different for any other political leader or religious leader. People could deserve to know about it, Bernard. They deserve to know what kind of faction and militia that's running their country so they can avoid dumb fuckery. And so people can actually make a choice, and the women who are controlled by you guys can make a choice that they don't have to watch football and be controlled by you, that the cheerleaders don't have to be controlled by the football players. They don't have to, you know, be raped by them or abused by them. They can actually make good choices to be with guys or whoever they want to be who want to take care of them, Bernard. And I think that's what you're scared of the most, Bernard, Harry, and Robo Knight. That actually women and, you know, actually other young men are actually finding ways to, you know, finding people that love and care about them, as opposed to you guys who've been constant, non-stop abusers for the last, 50, 100 plus years. That's what happens when you create wars and conflicts. You're pissed, Bernard, because you know what? It's going to start finding that Ellery was probably the one that screwed up, like, Vietnam and Korea. And so you just sat there, you know, because your racism, you know, jacked up so many wars that were probably needless anyway. So, you know, I don't care about your alternative history book that you're trying to write, Bernard, because you want to, like, compete with, like, everybody in my family and shit. But it's not going to change the fact of what you guys did. I know most of your little minion are going to run away, Bernard. And then they'll come back and do it again, back and forth. But it's the same routine with you, Bernard, because you know why? You know why you got this seesaw going? Because this stuff never belonged to Joe, and never belonged to you, and never belonged to Ellery, and never belonged to the Robo Knight, It never belonged to those stupid boxes. It never belonged to the Antilla Man. It never belonged to any of you, Bernard. Okay? So, you can pretend all you want. E. LaChance, that's trying to copy my dad, and Ron Miller, it's also clear that you guys abused Brian and Bailey and used them and then make up a story that was all put in there so Bernard and them have something to go by. But it means you're fucking cowards, Bernard. And you want to run this religious story with it, whether it's Christian or whatever, you're going to get your ass beat, Bernard. You want to start up that comic book war again? Fine, but guess what happened? You all lost, right? And that's why you all look like shit, because you decided to follow on behind Red Randy and them after they fucked it all up. And then they started blaming the kids. So if you want to follow that all-American dumb shit, and the crappy stanky hillbilly clan again, I don't give a fuck, Bernard. But you're flashing in images with them, and their hack doesn't mean anything to me. I just, like I said, have the military and NASA and them monitor and record it just like a hospital, and then you go, oh, there's the dipshits that made everybody sick. Research how to help people heal and get away from it, and people will do that. And so the next couple hundred years of evolution, they'll be able to break free, truly free from dumb fuckery. And then like atheism that you guys wanted, your Darwinistic atheism or whatever you claim, Bernard, you guys get to live that through and die like his philosophy says you should do.